Fellas, in today's video, I'll be covering Mantis in the simplified Marvel Rivals guide. Mantis is a strategist, a healer, and is one of the most versatile supports in the game. She shines with her damage, utility, and damage buffs, and has the ability just to lock on to teammates over having to aim at them. Although you do need a line of sight. Mantis is not too complicated to learn, but some practice will be required to get a good feel for her abilities and when to use them. She does decent damage, and landing critical shots will replenish her abilities even faster, overall making her a great fit for any team, especially the mobile ones. And in this video, her combos, playstyle, and more will be covered, so whether you're new to Mantis or need a Season 1 refresher, this video will be for you. Her offensive toolkit consists of a very fast to use basic attack that hits hard, and can replenish her life orbs with criticals. Technically, they do have a melee, but if you can melee, you can land a headshot with a basic, and that's it. Her support defensive toolkit consists of throwing a spore to stop an enemy in the tracks, the ability to give an ally or yourself a damage boost, the ability to give instant healing with healing over time as well, a passive that will give movement boost when not injured, and healing over time when you use a life orb, topping off with their ultimate, which is while moving, allies get a movement bonus, instant healing, and healing over time. The bonus healing also converts into a maximum bonus overshield of 100. Lastly, she does have a team up with Adam Warlock that allows them to instantly respawn every 2 minutes. Now, let's take a deeper dive into her abilities and how to use her. As almost everything with Mantis revolves around her life orb, let's start with those. Just below her crosshair, you can see 4 leaves. These are her life orbs. When used, they do take about 3 seconds to replenish, and these are used for majority of her abilities, not counting the shift button, which we'll cover later. So replenishing them and using them will be a constant for her. Now moving right on to her basic attack, that is the Life Energy Blast. This will deal 50 damage per hit, and you can hold up to 20 of them. They do fire about 2 to 3 shots every 1 second, and they move very fast, which will make it easier for you to land headshots by aiming closer to the top of the body. And since you replenish life orbs by getting headshots, you should be trying to aim for headshots as much as possible. Plus you fire a ton anyways, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, before we move on to her next ability, I did not mention anything about her basic attack doing any healing. That's because they don't do that with Mantis. So moving on to her next ability, that is Spore Slumber, her shift ability. This does not use a life orb. Mantis will throw a spore in an arched projectile that will stun an enemy for 3.5 seconds. This also creates an illusion of her tied to each enemy that has 100 health and can be killed. When using this makes it easier for you to land in headshots, or giving you valuable moments to recover, or honestly run away if needed, although normally it'll be easier just to kill the opponent. Now attacking a hero that is sedated will instantly wake him up, allowing you to do many different things with many different paths to follow. And since this one does not use a life orb, it does have a cooldown of 15 seconds. The next 2 abilities are very similar, which is Allied Inspiration on the E button and Natural Anger on the F button. As you can see on our ally here, they have an E button right below them. When you use this will give them a bonus 12% damage boost. And then of course pressing the F button will do the same to you, giving you a 12% damage boost as well. Each of these will use a life orb, so this is something you can put on many of your allies at once for you to get in some massive damage with your team. They do last for 8 seconds, so throwing this on your Vanguard or on your divers can give them that edge needed to win a fight. And then that's the same thing with yourself if you're ever being attacked or you're jumping into the battle. Popping this damage buff will be a good way to play. So you can buff up your team and yourself and then go in for some quick critical hits. That way you can continue to buff your teammates or yourself. Now we did say that she was a support character, which means she should be able to heal. How you do that is with her second attack, her right click for Healing Flower. Using this will insta heal your teammate for 55 health and give them 20 health per second over time for 8 seconds. This is going to be her primary healing for the most part, so you should be using it often. This also means that you won't be spamming basic attacks into your tanks in order to keep them alive. Next we have her ult, which is also very nice, that is Soul Resurgence. With this you do have to be moving, and when you do pop it, Mantis gives everyone 200 health on cast with 150 healing per second as well. It lasts up to 8 seconds and the range is 15 meters, but it's a moving radius, so you do have to be careful of where your teammates are. This will also give everyone a 3-meter speed buff. Then any extra healing will grant each ally up to 100 overshield. Next up, we have her passive, Nature's Favor. This will give her a movement boost of 1.5 meters when she's not injured and out of combat for 3 seconds. And if she has taken damage, using a life orb, whether you simply just give yourself a damage buff, will give you healing over time of 12.5 health per second. And then lastly, we have her team up with Adam Warlock for Nature's Soul. This will allow her to use Cocoon Revival every 2 minutes. Adam is a very popular character to see these days, but this is more of a bonus than something you should actively be trying to use, but it can be very helpful actually in combat. And so that is the gist of Mantis's abilities. Let's hop into some matches to see her in action. Initially, I found Mantis to shine best in the backlines, poking the enemies as much as possible and using her abilities on your teammates, but I find that she's best played centrally with your team. What's nice about her is that she can throw a healing onto the assassins or divers like Black Panther or Spider-Man that the other healers may not be able to consistently heal. Mantis will do best with another healer who can be more focused on healing, while Mantis does general healing and team buffs. If you're good at getting headshots, constantly throwing healing and damage buffs onto your team in between your basic attacks will be the best play. In a pinch, you can also throw multiple healings onto an ally for that rapid healing, as she heals an instant 55 per use. I found her flow best to be used focusing on using her abilities and then getting damage done in between. This does not mean constantly focusing on healing while occasionally getting damage in during good moments for your team, but rather using abilities and then damaging during cooldowns or to get more life orbs. Also, throwing the self-damage buff onto yourself is something that you should always be doing when it expires. This allows the effect to always be active in between your healing and buffing, and will give you a constant heal as well. If you see a diver jumping your team, stunning them and healing your team will be the best play, and then taking out the target. Marvel Rival matches can be very chaotic, so it can be easy to forget about her stunning ability in between your attacking and buffing your teammates, but using it will take the enemy out of the game for a few seconds, which is nearly enough time to heal a squishy ally. She does take a little bit to get used to, as she does have a lot of abilities and requires resource management, which can make her a little bit tough to play, especially with her constant DPS switching to recharge. A good tip in general will be to save her stun for the divers, throwing it onto the floor and then using the self-damage buff. This will lock the enemy, give you bonus damage and heal, and then you should be able to get easy headshots on the stunned enemy as they are moving. With the damage buff of 12%, landing a headshot should deal about 112 damage, so even if you don't secure the pick, they should end up retreating. Another good time to use your stun is when you notice that an enemy has overextended. You'll be able to stun them to get an easy kill in as well. And since your attacks travel fast, the best course to follow will be whoever appears to be weak and killable, then the supports, then duelist, and then tanks. And when in a pinch, her ultimate charges relatively fast. You can use this to break through choke points or engage in a team fight. It's also useful to use defensively. It will not let squishies live devastating blows like from Iron Man or Magneto, but it should keep your team alive long enough in most fights. Keeping it simple, heal your tanks, and then boost your DPS and supports. Stun the divers and assassins like Wolverine and Iron Fist. Learn who to stick by and buff. Hawkeye does not need a damage buff as they're already good. You can also throw your healing, which does healing over time, onto heroes like Spider-Man that go off on their own, but you can't just be focusing on them, they need to come to you to get healed. Play aggressively, get good situational awareness in, and when you do have full health, to keep your movement buff going, don't just strafe back and forth, go in a circle. This will keep your movement buff and make you harder to hit as well. And keeping all these in mind, you'll do just fine. Mantis is a fairly unique strategist where they can heal, and they definitely should heal when possible, but they do really good damage and offer incredible buffs. They really shouldn't be the only healer. They should play more as an off healer, but they're really great on any team. Give them a try and you'll have a lot of fun. And that's a wrap on the simplified Mantis Marvel Rivals guide. Tell me, did I miss anything, or do you have any tips of your own that you think other people should know? Leave it in the comments below. And hey, hit that like button if you're still watching, subscribe for more videos like this if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next one.